Do you think you can play me? But the truth is, I'm the one that put the blanks in your gun. I have the real bullets.
I also got a vote, which stung a little.
Talk about the niceness.
We're like Normandy here.
Yeah. Guys, Survivor 43, episode 5. Stop with all the niceness already. And let's just play the game of Survivor. Here on Wednesday, October 19th, 2022, we are covering this episode on Super Mario Brothers Podcast. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. Sure, you might be listening to us on the audio version. I'm Dave Mader, joined with co-host Jaemeel Robinson. We're going to talk about this episode, as we've been talking about this whole season. And this episode, which I thought had a lot going on. It was very Coco focused, but there was more developments. Jaemeel, how did you feel with all the niceness? Where you're like, it's time to put a stop to it.
Yes, especially when the niceness is, let's just say it's a metaphor for idiocy, because why do people feel the need that they feel like they're the smartest person in the game, and not even the smartest person in the game in terms of like using the dynamics of like the game to get ahead? They're like, I'm gonna outthink everyone. I'm gonna even outthink the game. Right? There's no need for that. If you say you have the numbers, there's no need for you to outthink the game at all. And the combination of people who think that they're smarter, but yet are so out of touch with like the actual like dynamics around them is pretty hilarious, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in particular, Gio really embodies that here in this episode, because, you know, he says, you don't come to play hard. It's what's
I might have played a little too hard, but that's fine, because if you don't come to Survivor and play hard, then there's no point of coming to Survivor. It's pointless.
Did he play hard though?
Did he play hard? Did he play too hard? Was that what was the end of Gio here? As Gio gets voted out 3-2 in this second back-to-back Coco Tribal Council. In these two episodes, because this episode very much starts off with the aftermath of what happened when they voted out Lindsay on day 9, or on the end of day 9. This episode ends on day 11, where they end up voting out Gio. So now Coco down to 4. We know that the merge is coming next episode, Jaemeel. That was shown in the previews. So you know, similar to the past seasons, after 5.
I was one episode off. I was so sure that it was this episode.
Yeah, five people voted out, and so of the 18, so we got a 13-person merge here.
Yes,
big merge. But it doesn't matter, because half of them don't have votes anymore. So it all kind of balances out in the end here. We also saw, like, in this episode, there was the whole go to the sand dune with Jesse and Janine and Gio, and they all risked. All 3 risked, and even Gio's like, I will risk. I'm just telling you, Jesse and Janine, I will risk, which is fine. You know, as long as maybe 2 risk, but all 3 is a little unusual to see.
And then he gets it. Oh,
and then Gio gets it, but he gets voted out with it in his pocket. Cool souvenir, he says.
I was so angry. Angry. I'm like, damn it, not him.
Yeah.
Now, ultimately, I think we're going to come to a conversational discussion about, was it the right move to get Gio out versus Ryan?
Well, I think I think, was it the right thing? I think, well, from Carla's logic, it was like, let's get out Gio because he has this advantage. We can blindside him now, get this advantage out of here, and we'll get out Ryan later. Ryan is kind like, I think it doesn't really make a difference that much, because neither Ryan nor Gio are particularly smart players, from what I can tell. In these 5 episodes we've been exposed to them, I would say that they're perhaps on the lower end of the scale when it comes to game smarts. And so we got to see a bit more of that, and particularly with Ryan in this episode. I was just like, whatever. Ryan, once he gets into the merge, he's not going to do well. He's not doing well now. He's going to try with like 5 people, so they got to live with him, right? But
you're right.
It's going to. I think it's going to be a whole new social dynamic once all these people are together.
So I will give my opinion at the end once we get to things. So a little teaser. You gotta see us to the end, folks, to get that little nugget of information.
Right. Well, a lot of it was like the beginning of this episode, Jaemeel, was just, it was a lot about Cassidy. Cassidy was featured heavily in this episode, as did the entire Coco tribe. But she was talking about how the fact that they told Ryan and Gio right before they voted out Lindsay, like, "Hey, we're doing this," and then Gio goes and votes for Cassidy anyway. And he explains that, well, if something happens, shot in the dark, whatever his like logic was, Cassidy was not having it. Cassidy's like, do you not even know?
Because I thought I was gonna get voted out last night.
I'm so sorry about that.
Oh no, that's what Janine. No, where's my Cassidy one here?
Just like clueless about the game. He's like, are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me, Gio?
That was dumb.
She will hunt you down and she will get you.
Look at those eyes. I will hunt you down. Literally, that's what the picture said. Folks, if you're looking at if you listen to the audio version, you're not seeing the video where there's a particular shot of Cassidy looking at Gio, looking at the camera on the side, saying, "I will hunt you down." It's kind of scary a little bit.
Do you think that she handled the fact that she had one vote against her very well? Do you think this was a good? No, I don't think so.
Not at all.
She was playing very paranoid to the point where was it James and Carla were like, why don't we just vote out Cassidy in this episode? And they nearly do, because they're just like, she's kind of a pain. Is she worth?
Yeah, you have to find that right balance though. Like you want to give people the impression it's not okay voting for me, but at the same time, leave it open for the possibility of working together.
And some, like, even on the surface, forgiveness?
Well, not necessarily. Well, yes. Understanding is what I would be pushing, because forgiveness would be a little bit too far, right? Understanding is like, I understand why you did it. If a shot in the dark occurred, you didn't want the potato to be stuck on you. Makes sense. I just hope that we can work together in terms of our relationships so that next time the vote isn't going to be on me. That we'll be working together.
Yeah.
As untrue that may be.
How old was Cassidy again? Cassidy's 26. Yeah. She doesn't mess around. And she was not too subtle about it. So, and Carla, in terms of Carla and James, they seem to be the brains of this tribe.
Oh, by far,
right?
Far.
And after these two tribal councils in these last two episodes, I feel like, okay, these two are they're here to play, and I feel like they are going to play into the end game of this. But
and they're both likable too.
Yeah, and they're different, but they seem to be like on the same page, and they've had to manage some kind of weird tribe mates along the way here, some more eccentric types at least. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they will merge with and who they are going to ally with from like either Vessi or Baka.
I have to go back and look at the dynamics from the different visits to see exactly how well individuals have worked together. Because once we get to the merge, which is next week, there's going to be the conversation that's going to occur, because you have Gabler, Owen, Janine, and the other person I can never remember on the tribe that supposedly is part of my
you know what, Ellie,
I think, sorry, 4, right? That group, everyone knows, even though they don't. Gabler doesn't know. I'm sorry, Janine and Ellie don't know that Gabler knows about the beads, but they're gonna go to the merge and gonna see people with beads and go, "Hey, you have that," and "Hey, you have that." So they kind of know where the bodies are, who has the different,
who has what advantage. Yeah.
Yes. Now, I'll leave it at that. I just feel like it's important to understand that dynamic going on, plus the different dynamics from the visits, right? So, the Dune visits, mind you.
Let's talk about the sequence in the episode where we check in with Baka, Yellow Tribe, if you're not following the tribe names, and we see this tree that's in the middle of the thing here. That this is it was singing to Ellie.
In all of its survivor glory, just singing.
Good song cue.
Interesting
Great
sound effect at the end too. But they find this tree which is not just singing but covered in ants, like some pretty aggressive looking ants here. Jaemeel.
It's great. Do that. Put it in more places that people.
I was like,
more
oh, they would
awkward.
never put like the clue in something like that, would they? What they did.
Put in some red ants nest.
Yeah. And Janine gets it here with Ellie pretty much right in tow, but this thing is just like crawling. She's trying to get all of the bugs off of it, but it's they're kind of crawling all through it. It was almost like they covered this tree in something that they would be attracted to, but perhaps not.
He's like, coat it, make them have to dig, woman. We want you to dig.
Yeah, Jane was like, I'd be throwing it on the ground and stomping on it. Like, boy, I tried to open it, but I'm like, yeah, fair enough.
Go pour some well water over it.
There was this debate here between Ellie and Janine about, do we open this or not? It's a beware advantage. I'm going to lose my vote if I'm not. But it's the same old. I got to collect the beads. And all the beads represent like a certain person, right? And we've seen this already from Coco and Bessie. So here in episode 5, I've seen this movie before. I don't know if it's really working for me the third time around. I feel like
Did you like that it was a little bit shorter?
Well,
it was just primarily focused on the Gabler and the aftermath with Owen kind of reaction. Yeah,
like pretty much like. Color scheme wise, I like the Baka colors and the green and yellow, and so it's like this was the best looking bead set. But
it sings to you.
It sings with Ellie.
In all of its survivor glory, just singing.
Yeah. So okay. They go in this thing and they're like, okay, we won't tell Owen, Jaemeel. Like whatever we do, don't tell Owen. And then Owen just kind of walks up. Right.
Which
what are you doing?
I'm not understanding. Okay. Do you both need to read it at the same time? I never understood the need that like, hey, you're opening it. I need to read it line by line with you at the same time, so no one's like looking out. Because if we don't, it somehow loses power. If like, Ellie was reading it, and Janine was just, continue with the well water, listening to what she's saying, then, you can keep an eye out for if anyone is walking by, right? But the fact that they have to stop and they're like in the open and they're like, let's read it and talk very loudly about what we just found. It's like, you know what? You kind of did it to yourself a little bit.
I think so, yeah. I was kind of disappointing to see in a lot of the examples in this episode alone, just of them sharing advantages, like Gio later on sharing his with Carla. That ultimately is what gets him voted out more than anything in this episode, because Carla's like, he can steal my immunity idol, so therefore he must go. Like that, like it's a no-brainer for Carla. So I just think that it would be more amazing. Like, yeah, if like Gio had come out of nowhere and stolen an immunity idol at a tribal and saved himself, but people and here in this case here with Janine and Ellie, where they find this, were they just traveling together? It seems like they're just besties, right? In their
they're
particular
together
example.
all the time. It's so obvious.
Right, like they're working together very much so, and I think all the men on that tribe are just kind of over them, because Mariah was voted out, but then that feels like a while ago. So it's just been those two, and then you got like
they really should have rethought that. You know what? Not even gonna go there again. Never mind.
Well, they got, you got Sammy, right, and you got Gabler, and you got Owen as well.
Sammy just seems posed for like post merge.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm ready for the merge. Like, I just have to survive a couple more days here with Ellie and Janine, and win an immunity idol, and or win throw some balls up a ramp, which he ends up doing later on in the episode. So, but he kind of says, yeah, like I'm pretending to be with Janine and Ellie, but I'm really kind of with Gabler and Owen, or it's at least Gabler. And I really don't understand the Gabler Sammy connection or dynamic is very much but it's an interesting one. The youngest guy on the cast and the oldest guy on the cast.
I think that Sammy's just keeping everything, open. He's not providing any information. So, Sammy is well aware of what's going on, right? Of like the different dynamics of how things are going, but at the same time, he doesn't have bad blood with anyone. Owen is the one who's looking like the schemer
and a bit of a flip flopper,
right? And Gabler seems like the inept old man.
Well, yeah, it seems like he's the Gabler. Even he gets on Sammy's nerve, and Sammy seems to want to work with Gabler for lack of options. I think he just doesn't particularly want to work with Janine and Ellie long term. And right now he's like, well, I guess Gabler, you're my new best friend, so we have to. We're unlikely allies here, but we have to work together. Ends up explaining to Gabler about how he gives the bead away. He's like, and that gave the immunity idol, but I guess Sammy couldn't do anything in the moment because that would blow up his game, so he has to just kind of play it cool here. And they're like, well, now we know this at least. She doesn't know that that she has this idol, so maybe we can work with that somehow.
Well, the team has 2 idols, right? Going into merge.
Yeah, I could see these 2 working with like Carla and James, perhaps from Coco.
And they go against Janine and Ellie
and whoever on the Coco tribe that they, I guess with maybe Cassidy will join this other side. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what the merge dynamics are.
Okay.
If they're going to just follow along tribal lines, or if they're going to be some kind of another combination of that.
I think the only one that probably would is going to be was it Vessi, Red Team?
Vessi, yeah, they seem tight. They seem to be working pretty well together. In the case of like
Coco's completely splintered right now.
Coco is not as much. Yeah, Coco is you got Cassidy, James, Carla, and Ryan.
But they were already gonna Cassidy's looking kind of sus. So
yeah, so I think you got James and Carla, and they kind of will use Cassidy as much as they need to. And Ryan, I think, is going to be a free agent come merge. In the Vessi tribe, Dwight, Noel, Cody, and Jesse, that seems solid. Looking, it will. But like in the case of Jesse, has no vote.
Yeah.
At the moment, and then you got Sammy from coming from Bach. You got Sammy, Owen, Gabler, Janine, and Ellie.
Yeah. Which
right? They have the numbers. They have the biggest group, but they're not. They're more splintered, I think, than Coco.
Yeah. Definitely.
Right. So Vessi has the advantage going into this merge because they're as a 4, they're more unified than the other groups are.
Correct. So a little bit of homework for me. I need to go back and look at the different who went to the islands together and what was the relationship coming from that scenario.
Let's get to the immunity / reward challenge. Another traditional. We got an obstacle course where you got to go through this thing, and then you got to climb over this thing. And you got to release another thing.
I was so
and then
disappointed.
You'll solve a puzzle at the end.
I was so disappointed in this challenge.
Actually, it wasn't a puzzle. That's the part I did like. I like that the final thing where you have to roll the balls up the ramp.
But no one cheated. No one cheated in this game, and I was so disappointed.
What would the cheat have been?
Okay, so getting past the idea that the wooden obstacle would be exactly the same, which to me seems highly improbable.
So the part 1 of this challenge where they had to kind of go through this maze.
It didn't make any sense to me that it was identical. You could try to make it as identical as possible, but for it to be truly identical, that means all the pieces of wood need to be exactly the same lengths and same positioning to the letter. Like you would need machinery to make it exactly the same.
Yeah, I think in a general sense, maybe that they're arranged in the same way, but
why give the impression that it's exactly the same? It isn't exactly the same.
It's not exactly the same because these are wooden tree trunks and they have variation within them. Of course, some are bent a little differently one way or the other, but
there's different ridges on it, so your clothes might hook on one piece versus another.
Where they wouldn't on another.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's
it's
just-
about they could say it's as close as identical as possible within
I
reason.
just felt like it was an unnecessary flex that it needed to be done for the art department. Isn't like at home going, yeah, tell him, Jeff. Like that was
ultimately here. Cody just goes under the whole thing and just like bypasses it. But like all three groups get through this part of the challenge in pretty much the same amount of time. Actually, Coco I think gets out of it first in the challenge.
Yeah. And then Vessi cleared the other one.
Vessi was right with them. Ibaka was actually trailing for a good part of this challenge, and then they catch up.
Yep.
So
my issue is with the water transportation.
The water over the teeter-totter?
Yes. And this is a reminder to all the folks who watch Survivor or might go on Survivor. Whenever there's water involved where you have to transport it, wear clothing. Because you can soak your clothing in the water and then squeeze out the extra water into the collection.
Well, yeah, they have this one pot, but why can't the other three members of this tribe cup water in their hands? And then also contribute.
Water in your hands could slip out. Your clothes.
Okay, well, and/or. So you have it in your clothes and you got as much as you can carry physically.
Yes.
Right? They might, that's a way to maybe get a little bit of an advantage, a little bit of a head start in this challenge.
It's been repeatedly done in Survivor episodes in the past.
You could at least just even use your buff, right?
Even use your buff. Soak your buff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Worst case scenario, you squeeze it into the pot and then you put the pot thing into the water.
Right. Yeah. This was an interesting thing to watch on the challenge because it was like them all being tied together but only one of them had a pot.
Yeah.
Right. And so there was always kind of like a leader of the different thing. And then they had
I think it should have been I felt it should have been multiple pots and a bigger basin.
Right. What did you think of the actual roll the three balls up the ramp?
Carnival game. I love it. It. More of that, less puzzles, please. We're puzzled out, really.
Yeah, this was, I think, a refreshing from a puzzle.
Yeah.
And we have it's always like the Survivor logo. It's always like a jigsaw puzzle, or it's like, it's like without last up play, or whatever sort of crap.
Yes.
Okay, I'm calling BS on Ryan.
Really?
Jaemeel, that he claims that he threw this challenge here at the end on purpose.
You don't think he did it?
No.
I think he did.
In his attempt to get out Cassidy, I think he made this up. I think Cassidy, well, I think it's maybe his head canon, if you will, because in the challenge here, right before the end, right before Vessi ends up defeating them, she says to him, go for the right side. And then he throws it up there, and that's when he knocks the balls off, right? So it was almost like her heckling maybe triggers him, and then he goes, you know what? I want to vote her out. I wanted to vote her out for 11 days or 10 days anyway. This is as good of a time as any. I don't really believe that he threw this on purpose per se.
I think he did.
Yeah, you believe his testimonial?
I think he did not take a strategy that was a winning strategy.
Yeah. He rolled that up pretty hot and he hits it right off. You might be right. I don't know. He seemed like he was full of shit, quite frankly.
I think he is absolutely full of shit, but I think he is at least truthful in that regard that he was not necessarily playing to win at this point. And his delusion and misconception about the dynamics of his tribe, obviously, right? He why complicate things? Even if there's illusion of the tribe is strong, you don't want to vote out Cassidy. If you vote out Cassidy now and merges next week, vote her out, willing sacrifice next time. That's your bargaining chip that you're willing to flip to get this person out.
He knew, but he's like Nostradamus. He knew the future.
I know that when Jeff says fifth person going home, Survivor 43, it's gonna be Cassidy.
It wasn't.
Dummy.
It wasn't Cassidy. It was Gio. But yeah, like I don't know. Like this guy really, like if we had a stock watch, Jaemeel, Ryan's stock would have crashed in this episode.
Zero. Like
Yeah,
sell.
Yeah, this is not. This is a stock you need to drop. It's right. Who has him in the draft? I gotta check.
Not me.
Jeff has
Thankfully,
him. That's why Jeff's not feeling well.
yeah.
Tonight.
I would feel pretty sick too because it just tanked his game.
Yeah, he's like, I got this guy, and he's not looking great in this game. So they come back to camp, Coco, after that, and it's all about like him. They're at least James is going along with this plan, telling Ryan, yeah, we're gonna vote out Cassidy. What name are we telling Cassidy? And Ryan says, well, just tell them my name, right? And so then Ryan goes on this like way over the top, way over committed version of like, I'm the guy falling on my sword.
He doth protest too much.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Way too much.
Way too much.
He was going on,
If this plays out, I'm gonna have some ink on my Survivor resume, and that's what I want.
Yeah, dummy. It says F.
Is that what the ink says?
Yeah, that's what the ink says on his parchment, his report card for Survivor. Like, if the next episode does not come back with him being like, I'm an idiot, I'm disappointed. I lost all hope for this dude if he doesn't realize how dumb his play was.
I'm just curious to see how the smarter players in the merge are going to react to him, and how it's going to play out. Because I think like players like Jesse are just going to be like, oh well, who cares if I have a vote or not? We can always get out Ryan, It was interesting to see it play out because really the whole time Carla and James are in complete control of this tribe, and it's just like. And there's just a bunch of like, what Ryan's saying, what Cassidy's saying, the fact that Gio's not there, it doesn't even matter to them. They're just like, whatever, we'll figure it out and we'll get this done by tonight. That's the impressive part. We get the sequence here with Gio and Jesse and Janine before they actually did their, the pulling of the stone to find out if they would lose their vote or get the advantage. And they haven't done this yet, where they made them like go on a boat together and like row to the sandbar.
It just seemed like they were just trying to get extra footage in high def. It's like, we're gonna get this 4K footage of the choppy water and them rowing. This is gonna be great.
Let's mix it up. Like we've had so many times where they get the one person from each tribe and they put them together for like this walkabout. And normally they're like walking up a mountain for like 3 hours. And so they're like, no, let's we're going nautical. We're going into the sea and making them row their boat together. It looked like it was not easy too. Like it was like a windy day.
Yeah.
And they were just going, and they did a lot with the slow motion here. Just like.
All I hear was the Survivor theme music just going.
Yeah.
All we needed was someone just jumping out of the water in slow motion. And it's like 18 tribe mates.
Yeah.
We haven't seen an intro yet this season.
No, there's never no like intro, like like the.
Do you miss the intro?
You know what? Like I could do with it like maybe at the beginning of the season, and then like I don't need it every episode. So
I say every 3 episodes just so you kind of you want to remember the tribe. So before the merge, at least do it once so I can kind of remember like all the different tribe mates, right? You just have that one sequence so that every season has at least a title sequence.
Yeah, I miss the title sequence, in the seasons where you would get like, somebody with the same name. It'd be like, Rob C or Rob M, or whatever. So it was
the slow motion of them doing something.
But yeah, usually they're like coming out of the mud or like out of a challenge or whatever, and like especially if they had like particularly striking eyes, they would always get them like super dirty and then like have their eyes like pop out. But yeah, that's just we get the whole thing here where they all risk their vote.
Were
Interesting
you
to see.
hoping Jesse? You're like, Jesse, don't get it right.
I thought
We need to weaken
Jesse
Jesse
was,
so that
quite
we
frankly,
don't
was
do
smarter than
Gilligan's
this.
Island.
I was surprised by Jesse in particular. He went with this risk, knowing that he already knew that Gio was going to do the risk too, right? So he knows at best he's got 50-50, right?
That's your problem with the situation. My
Well,
problem
I
with
think
the
that
situation was
I think if he's
the edit was purposely manipulative for us to believe that Jesse wouldn't take it.
I wasn't even thinking he wouldn't take it or not, but I felt like once on the way that they presented it on the show, Gio was like, "Guys, I'm on the outs. I almost got voted out last night, whatever. Like, I have to try to get this advantage, right?" And so Jesse doesn't necessarily need to make this risk, in my opinion. He's not in a dire straits within his tribe, within his dynamics, and going into this merge. He's not looking at the worst. I get wanting to have an advantage, but there's also this chance you're going to lose your vote. And he's like, "Well, I'm out here to win $1 million. Fair enough, but at the very least, look at Janine and go, what are you gonna do? Like, you just like kind of figure out what, if you figure out she's going for the risk too, then you just play it safe. You keep your vote, and then they have one of them is going to now lose their vote.
Yep.
Immediately, right? So, but then they all do it. I felt like Jesse maybe did this because he didn't want to get pushed around by Gio or like anything dictated on his game based on what Gio was kind of going on.
It would have been if Jesse had it, it would have been a great tool for him to have, though.
Yeah, it would have been for sure. If he could have stolen an advantage, like Jesse, even though if he wins this game, I'm now the host of a Gilligan's Island podcast. But aside from that, I think he's a good enough
Team
player.
Jaemeel.
Or I've seen a bit of potential in Jesse, but then like he does this thing where he falls out of the boat here. Jaemeel, when he comes back.
He can't win if he does that then.
Well, it was just like, yeah, like you talk about being from the gangs, Jesse, and being the street tough guy, but I think you're really just like a university nerd. Like you're just like you're I think you have like your street creds that maybe not necessarily
it was like bro fell out of a boat, street cred is at 0.
Yeah, street cred, no good, man. Like this, like even the guy driving the boat's like, "Are you all right,
so
man?"
You believe all gang members are at least nautically, competent?
I would have expected like a true gang member to get out of this boat and like land on 2 feet and be like a boss. So,
what, he does like a superhuman like stance and then he looks up,
just doesn't fall over and like tripping over his own feet like Jesse did here. Just like a little bit more grace. I just get this like super nerdy vibe from Jesse, like
the graceful gangsters, of California.
Like he was going to be like the secretary of the club, I think.
Okay,
he's known for his penmanship. So anyway, they open up the thing, and then they risk the vote. We see the reveal both with Jesse and Janine. And they do it in front of their tribes, respectively. They're like, "I'm just coming clean. I want them to know where the votes lie."
Makes sense for Vessi. For Baka,
yeah. In Janine's case,
I'm confused. Really?
Were you confused that she was able to come back and not like get noticed by the tribe?
No one cared. No one cared.
She like just sneaks off here, like, and nobody even realizes she's back.
Like, not even the sound of the boat, which has been known to be loud. People hear it. Right? It's like, I'm not looking up. I don't care.
They weren't in a hurry to talk to Janine. Like, in contrast to Jesse, when Jesse comes back, like the other 3 tribe members on Vessi are like, "Oh, hello, Jesse. What happened there?" Right?
Ryan's looking up for Gio. Hey, Gio's back.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, my guy?
Yeah, my guy.
Yeah. I really enjoyed like this testimonial here with Sammy. Just because of the way what he was wearing and him leaning against this tree and just explaining the game to us the way he does sometimes. He's an interesting narrator for this season. And
as of right now, in terms of like if I had stock in whoever is coming back, dude's coming back for another season.
Yeah, he's good. I'm impressed. I'm interested to see what he does here down the stretch and in a merge situation, because I think he's just been playing maybe a little bit, also a bit of an under the radar game and trying to, which is not necessarily bad, but
did you know that he's super young?
Did you know that he can like outclass like even a 21-year-old or something like that? Oh, don't
Yeah.
post that. Where is it?
My tribe thinks I'm 22 years old, living young, wild, and free. My tribe has no idea that I'm 19 years old.
They have no idea. This is
Yeah,
the greatest
it's-
con ever
Yes.
established. I
This
think.
is the new 41-year-old woman. It's this season's 41-year-old woman.
So let's talk about
That's a Big Brother reference, folks. Look at our previous episodes to enjoy that content.
when Gio comes back to Coco, he's like, I don't want to be shady, so I'm going to lie about what happened and that I kept my thing safe and they all risked theirs, so or whatever, right? And then he turns around 2 seconds later and tells Carla that what's actually happened. And he was like, and she's even confused by this, but he thinks that he's in an alliance with Carla and James, I guess.
That they're
and
4 strong.
Ryan.
That they're 4 strong. And
4 strong.
And Cassidy, aka McCree, is on the outs.
Yeah, they don't like her, but they really don't seem to like Gio more. Right? But they don't like Ryan. But I'm also like, why do 2 people get to decide everything here? If like why does no one
the 2 smart people and the dummies?
They're the 2 smart people.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Because why are the other 3 just getting like sort of run around by these 2? But
because just let's be honest, if Carla and
James,
were truly working with Ryan and Gio, like James and Carla would come up with something that makes sense, and then Gio and Ryan would be like, no, you know what we should do? And then you just see the hope just drain.
They're like, we need ink on our Survivor resumes. We came here to play hard, right? And I think that they're like, well, maybe that there's like a more quieter way to things, or maybe like subtle, don't necessarily give everything away, poker face, stuff like that.
Yes.
No, some people don't roll like that. It's interesting to see, like in the casting for Survivor, I've noticed in like these last couple of seasons, following Winners at War, that there are some like players here, and then there's just a bunch of dopes they've thrown into the cast, and I think it's interesting. Not gamers. Like they're what they think it is to play Survivor is not necessarily what is the conventional wisdom in terms of how to go about it.
Yes.
It's a little bit more flashy. They're here to be on TV, closer to what it was in the beginning, really.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Ryan seems to be trying to set up his entertainment career.
Yep. Yeah, Ryan's got ambitions. Ryan's got.
He's a tall, good-looking dude, but 10-cent brain.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Kill him with kindness. That's what has been in my blood since the day I was born.
Yeah, he's a giver. If you didn't know, he's a giver.
He's a giver. He's just a giver, Jeff.
Which I just chuckled so much.
Like even Cassidy was like, whatever, man. Like, no, I didn't pull that particular line, but yeah, this tribal was interesting. But I kept thinking it was gonna be Ryan voted out, not necessarily Gio. But
So I'll reveal they made the right choice in voting out Gio. The reason for it is Gio is too squirrely. So if you kept Gio in the game with his steal advantage,
right,
knowledge is power advantage, which has never and probably will ever be used properly. Thankfully, he is going to cause havoc in that merge dynamic. Extreme, because if he's gonna most likely flop. Let's say Ryan was gone. He's gonna flop against, Carla and James, and we'll go, hey, I will hook up with anyone, and then whenever he hooks up, and someone reveals, hey, I think that this person might have an advantage, right? He'll be able to kind of, use his tool plus their knowledge to get that advantage. Puts him in a very powerful position. Ryan, on the other hand, he is, come merge, he is the immediate first choice to vote out. One, because he's a physical threat, a very obvious physical threat. Two, he's going to be by himself, and he's going to not be smart enough to let people. He's going to let people know that he is by himself, right? And who else is a very physical threat in this game? You have Sammy. Sammy is smart enough and has enough social grace to still work with people so that he doesn't have to, like, let's band together, Ryan, all the physical threats. This game doesn't have a huge amount of, like, overpowering physical threats. A lot of people have the same type of body strength, right?
Yeah, there's no Jonathan this season.
Yeah, there's no Jonathan, except the closest would be Ryan, right?
The closest is Ryan or maybe Sammy.
But Sammy has enough social...
even Cody, I think, is up there in athleticism too.
But I think that Cody, it wouldn't be out of the normal for Cody to lose to Owen, possibly.
No, it wouldn't be.
Right.
It wouldn't be like out of the question or anything.
Right? It isn't.
Is what it is. Like they're all relatively younger and fairly. We saw that these challenges are fairly even too. Like we haven't seen one tribe dominate.
I think we're going to be set up for a lot of endurance challenges. A lot of those are the way that we are.
Good. I like endurance challenges.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily play to Ryan or Sammy's advantage.
No, it doesn't. So we'll see. Hey, it could be like somebody who's just tough. Can hang on a post for a long time. Could be one of the ladies.
with her facial marks that people are like, she's been playing hard. You could tell by her face and her knees.
Yeah, she got face scars and knee scars. I was like, yeah, I don't know how she got those even originally.
It looks like something crawled in her face and like bit it
off.
Yeah,
but I think it's actually. I think she probably scraped it like diving into sand or maybe
Probably.
something like that. I don't know. It's pretty rough to the point where they can't even really do anything other than maybe. I think the best they could do is put a skin graft on it or something to try to help it heal, but. Anyway, let's talk about just the vote itself, because I really like this moment in the tribal where we don't know who Cassidy's talking to here. She's like, you thought you had me, but I was the one who really had you here.
You think you can play me, but the truth is I'm the one that put the blanks in your gun. I have the real bullets.
The real
That's
bullets.
such a great line. That is a great line.
It's a great line, and ultimately it's
she's put it on a t-shirt. She's putting out a t-shirt.
She is. Oh yeah, like that's going to be like I've got the real bullets is going to be her thing for at least a year.
And then she says that to Jesse, and Jesse's like, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?"
Right. She also
for fun.
Yeah. She also has to go back here and be with Ryan, who's going to be someone who's voted against her. Now, and she does not forget those things. She comes for them. And she will get her revenge one way or the other.
Well, it'd be hilarious if she goes, "Who voted for me?" And Ryan's gonna be like, "You want to take a walk?"
Yeah, but that was so funny at the beginning of the episode. He's like, "You want to take a walk?" She's like, "Well, did you vote for me?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "It was Gio." And then she goes, "Well, then maybe I should talk to Gio. What's up with you?" Like,
I laughed. I cackled. Oh my gosh.
Gio was stunned here, but he was here to play hard. I was fine to lose him. I don't think that this guy
he was not locked for this game.
No, not really. Why do you think Daryl drafted him, Jaemeel?
I think he seemed like a more physical Romeo.
A more physical. Yeah, anybody's more physical than Romeo.
If Romeo had, let's say he won 2 more immunity idols, I think he could have won.
Right. He was more likable. Well, Romeo was in the final 3 and then couldn't get any votes, right? So, or did he get a vote?
Wait, he did get a vote. He did. Yeah, he did. I don't think he did.
Hold on. Let's look at this up.
I'm pretty sure he did get a vote. They were not going to give him second place money.
No
way.
1 vote. No, he got no votes. Mike only got the other vote. Which was Jonathan's vote on Mike. So
yeah,
Marianne got all the other votes.
Jonathan's not voted for Romeo.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, Romeo was not elected around camp. He didn't pitch in either, right?
Yeah. Geo at least did.
Geo not fitting in with his tribe, but for a different reasons. It felt like, or less, I don't know, more subtle. But just to remind ourselves here in the draft, Geo was drafted 13th overall. There weren't high expectations here, in this. But
Jesse and Janine. Wow. I had both of them go. Well, Ellie did. I'm like, oh well, Janine could get an advantage through Ellie. No, sorry, Janine went on the thing, and neither of my people got an advantage. That's just crazy.
Team Jaemeel is Jesse, Janine, and Mariah, who we've lost, of course, the first voted out, but that's okay. Jeff has all three going into this merge.
Let's see.
Sammy, Ryan, and Cassidy. I think that Sammy the most promising of these three.
You know what? That's looking from a merge standpoint. It's a pretty good team. Jeff might take it home this year.
Jeff's got, like, compared to me, who have lost both of my draftees with NECA and Lindsay, and then of course Jane's got Cody, Daryl. Now still has Owen, but
like Dave, you did. I think you still picked a very good and dynamic group. It just Lindsay just kind of wigged out.
Yeah,
too early.
NECA,
unfortunately,
NECA was not who I thought she was going to be at all. So I misread her in terms of the pre-draft analysis. That's why you got to do more research, I think, sometimes. And Amanda's got Dwight and Noel, both from Bessie. Jen's got Carla and Ellie, and Sean's got James and Gabler. So see if any of those come together. But we're heading into the merge. The next episode is called Mergatory. So what's that come down to? Maybe it's one of those things like we're merged. Actually, not quite.
Yeah, it looks like what is it? What do they call it? In between heaven and hell is purgatory. So I think it's a mergatory. Like they're stuck in between. They're not really merged, but they're kind of merged. So
will the person voted out next be the first member of the jury or not, you think?
I think they won't be part of the jury. And I think that they're going to have to vote someone out right after the challenge.
Right.
That's why they're like, oh, we're right in the open. There's nowhere to hide.
Right. Because then it will come. Then it will be a merged tribe of 12 if they do this.
And another reason why they would probably do that as well, depending on who, they want to get a lot of the you can vote in the next tribal out of the way. So if they could kind of play with that a little bit, then maybe it's 3 separate tribes does a challenge. The losing tribe has to vote out someone, but every single person from who's in the merge tribe has to vote.
Yeah, that could be. So maybe they'll do something because it's a shortened season again, right? Like they're heading into this merge on day 12.
Yeah,
this is going to be over by day 26. So they're not quite halfway, but they're pretty close to halfway through the amount of days if you're getting to the end.
Yeah.
So
I think they're going to do it that way. Okay.
Who's the underdog? Like who's the player we're overlooking? You think going into this like next stage of the game?
That could be dominant.
Yeah, like
I think Carla.
Winner. Carla. Okay. What about Noelle?
Honestly, I'm trying to think of who Noelle is.
She's the one with one leg.
She could be in a lot of endurance challenges. She could have an advantage because she's holding up less body weight. Especially like if you're doing the holding yourself up, you just remove your leg.
Yeah, like she's even in the swimming, I think it could potentially not necessarily be that bad for you because you just get one leg to kick behind.
Like a mermaid.
Yeah, we saw in the challenge tonight, like she was like keeping right up with everybody, and
with the rope thing, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, like hopping around. She like nothing's gonna slow her down. I think that was
And
the
there's-
case with
yeah,
her before she.
There's
had
no
the
physical woman threat that's gonna like keep her down too.
No, exactly. So I feel like that's why I'm thinking like I could see her winning some endurance challenges. I could see her like even winning into like
Yeah, but I don't think people are gonna let her last too long. You don't want that kind of story getting to the
No,
final
the thing
three.
is like, will they? Can she survive long enough to maybe have that kind of a finish? But
If it's
Probably
top
not.
6 and she's still there, I'm like, I don't care what the dynamics are. I gotta vote her out.
right, I agree with that. Okay. Anything else on this this episode that we missed?
We,
If not, like,
I don't think we missed anything. Dave, we're a well-oiled machine. We were on top of everything.
good. Good. Like we covered everything. We covered, all the questions were answered. Hence why no one asked one tonight. We did start a little later tonight, so that
Yes.
could be a bit of it here. But
Don't worry.
let's.
So if you-
Sam was saying hashtag blindside. He was excited.
Hashtag blindside. Look, if you missed our live show, I understand. My bad. I had a very hectic day and I slept in.
No
At
worries,
the,
man.
at the same time, please use our social channels. Make sure that if you have any question, any comments about what you've heard during this episode on YouTube, write a comment down. Say, team hashtag Jaemeel on YouTube, on Facebook, right? Message us. Let us know how you feel about what you heard today and what you thought about the episode.
Right. Let us know and make sure to subscribe, like, and share. And check out our other content here on Super Mario Brothers Podcasting, including our coverage of Big Brother, most recently Big Brother season 23? No, 24.
24.
Yeah.
So our next thing is Big Brother Canada, I believe.
Yeah,
Unless there's
because
a
I think
celebrity.
I can't. We already know that a celebrity is we can't do that every episode. There's that's unsustainable.
Yes.
Because it best once a week because it's so
But for
rapid.
Big Brother Canada, have you put your application in?
I have not officially. I recorded my video, and then I was meaning to put B-roll over top of it, but I haven't actually got to that point, and I haven't.
What about Squid Game? Did you put in your application for Squid Game?
I was afraid to go in for Squid Game, so I was like,
"You're afraid they're gonna kill you."
That show's freaked me out. I was like, this is a terrifying story.
What about the new global show, the generational global show? David, friend of the podcast and part of the United Federation of Podcasts.
Yes.
Right. He is going to apply as well. So
I'm not. It's not fully on my radar, but I wouldn't be opposed to doing whatever that is. So
Sam, you need to apply.
Yeah, Sam, they might need a Newfoundlander.
Yeah,
to represent. So, get in on there, and then also check out our other members of the United Federation of Podcasts, including Live Long in Podcast, which is our Star Trek themed channel where we talk about Star Trek all the time. Monday nights we have an ongoing series with Star Trek Enterprise rewatch with Jody Simpson, Adam Woodward. We're finishing up season 2 right now. We just talked about the episode Horizon the other night. Star Trek Deep Space Nine, our podcast there on usually on Tuesdays. We're coming back. We swear. It's been a slow season 6.
Yes.
Getting season 6 going, but that's where we are.
The next episode is what?
Sons and Daughters. It's when Alexander comes back into Worf's life.
Yes, I didn't watch that episode already.
So we're coming. We'll be back next Tuesday. We think October 25th to talk about that. And then you should also check out our coverage of Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower Decks. They have a new episode coming out tomorrow. It's called Trusted Sources, episode 9 of season 3. I'll be talking about that with Davan Skelhorn and Chris Murphy on Live Long in Podcast, and Star Trek Radio Theater, our ongoing series where we do script reads and plays, and we did the Space Hippie episode very recently, which I'm still in post-production on the edited version, but it was a lot of fun. If you haven't checked it out already, Davan Skelhorn was bringing it in with the hippie music.
Yes,
Space hippie music. And he's working on another radio theater, including one with Star Trek Lower Decks comic books, which have Dracula in it. It's a real funny thing. We're waiting for part 3 to come out. We're going to be turning that into a radio theater as well. So lots of locutors of Trek podcasts. Most recently, the Treckle Trunk. We were talking about that. The most recent issue of that, along with a Star Trek Klingons one shot. Davan's Guide, all kinds of great Star Trek content going on with our Live Long and podcast and Locutors of Trek Alliance. And what else? We have Trivial Debates, our other channel.
Our episode is coming up soon, right?
Trivial Debates. We got Jody Simpson hosting. We got Andre Mayette from the Graphics Histories podcast, as well as the X-Men the Animated Series podcast he does with Davan. Other Federation members, which other podcasts you should check out, along with Chris Murphy and Davan Skelhorn, the Battle of the Blue Nosers,
who did a podcast tonight. What is
it? Well, like we have so many members in this podcast federation now. Like, so now we have our new one, Hold Up, a new movie podcast. They were talking about like 3 horror movies, including like The Tingler and a bunch of different.
I thought it was 3 movies about. The theme was 3 movies about theaters. So it was The Tingler, The Majestic, and
yes, you well put. Yeah, you have a better descriptor.
I've been keeping close tabs on what they're doing.
Yeah, I wasn't able to watch yet or listen yet, so I got to tune in with. But Hold Up, a new movie podcast that's got Chris Murphy and Davan Skelhorn. So lots going on in the UFP, including and our affiliate members. Well, they don't even know really, but we got the Hellbound podcast, a horror movie podcast.
Yes.
With Alex Blackburn, Michael Chan every Wednesday, as well as Let's Talk About Fighting Games with Sam Jerka.
No logo still.
No logo. No, they're working on it. They're working on a new thing.
Okay, you don't need a logo for that podcast, right? No. With people like Paranoia and Super Smash
Bros. Seth.
Yes,
yes,
and Sam Jerka. You don't need a logo.
No, you don't need logos. You don't need a regular podcast schedule. It's all good. They'll get together when they get together.
Yes.
So all good. And thanks for being with us on this Survivor recap here on Super Mario Bros. Podcasting. Stop with all the niceness already. And we'll see you next time for Mergatory. Thanks for being with us. Let's go out here on the Geo exit interview.
I might have played a little too hard, but that's fine.
Sorry, what? Here it is.
Wow, you can't trust nobody around here. I just got blindsided. But it's part of the game, it's Survivor. I'm going home with a little souvenir in my pocket, and I'm happy with the game that I played. I might have played a little too hard, but that's fine, because if you don't come to Survivor and play hard, then there's no point of coming to Survivor.